My husband left me for his secretary because I was too old. 5 years later, he applied to be my driver and didn't recognize me. The candle on the silver anniversary cake flickered, struggling to stay alive in the drafty air conditioning of the restaurant. It was supposed to be a celebration. 25 years. A quarter of a century. I had bought Mark a vintage Rolex with money I had saved for 3 years. It was sitting in my purse, wrapped in midnight blue velvet. Mark hadn't brought a gift. He hadn't even brought a card. He sat across from me, checking his phone every 30 seconds, tapping his manicured fingers on the white tablecloth. "Mark?" I asked softly, reaching for his hand. "Is everything okay? You haven't touched your wine." He pulled his hand away as if I had burned him. He looked up, and for the first time that evening, he actually looked at me. But there was no love in his eyes. There was only irritation, boredom, and something worse, pity. "Victoria, we need to talk," he said. The tone of his voice made my blood run cold. "Okay," I said, my voice trembling. "Talk about what?" "About us. About this." He waved his hand vaguely between us, then gestured at me. "About you." "Me." "Look at yourself, Victoria," he said, his voice rising just enough for the couple at the next table to glance over. "You've let yourself go. You're wearing the same dress you wore 3 years ago. Your hair is graying. You're tired. You're old." I felt like he had slapped me. "I'm 48, Mark. We're the same age. And I work 60 hours a week managing your company's accounting. I don't have time for spas and gyms." "That's the problem," he sneered. "You're boring. You're a glorified accountant. I need vitality. I need excitement. I'm a CEO, Victoria. I need a woman on my arm who matches my status. Not, whatever this is." He pulled out his phone and showed me a photo. It was a girl. A very young girl. Blonde, bikini-clad, holding a cocktail. I recognized her instantly. It was Jessica, his 23-year-old executive assistant. The one I had hired because she had a hard luck story. "Jessica understands me," Mark said, putting the phone away. "She makes me feel alive. She's pregnant, Victoria. I'm leaving you." My name is Victoria. If you'd like to hear more stories like this, subscribe to my channel and let me know where you're listening from. The room spun. "Pregnant? But she's barely older than our daughter." "Don't bring Sarah into this," he snapped. "I've already spoken to the lawyers. You get the house, it's mortgaged anyway, and a small alimony. But the company is mine. My name is on the door. You out." "Mark," I whispered, tears spilling onto the tablecloth. "I built that company with you. I managed the books. I covered your debts. You can't do this." "Watch me," he said. He stood up, threw a $100 bill on the table, and buttoned his jacket. "Happy anniversary, Victoria. Do yourself a favor. Dye your hair. You look like a grandmother." He walked out of the restaurant. He didn't look back. I sat there, alone with the flickering candle, feeling 25 years of my life turn into ash. I didn't know it then, but Mark walking out that door was the best thing that ever happened to me. The transformation, the years of fire. The first year was a blur of depression and wine. I lost the house because I couldn't afford the mortgage on the pitiful alimony he sent. I moved into a small apartment in Queens. I had to sell my jewelry. I felt worthless. Every time I looked in the mirror, I heard his voice, "You're old. You're tired." But anger is a powerful fuel. One morning, I woke up and realized something. Mark hadn't been the genius behind Miller Consulting. I was. I was the one who fixed his messes. I was the one who charmed the clients. I was the one who knew the tax codes inside out. Mark was just a handsome face in a suit who liked to play golf. I stopped drinking. I started running. At first, I could barely make it down the block. But I kept going. I dyed my hair, not to please him, but to please myself. I went back to a rich chocolate brown with honey highlights. I started eating right. The weight I had carried from stress began to melt away. I didn't apply for jobs. I started my own. I knew the secrets of the consulting world. I knew where Mark cut corners. So, I launched Phoenix Financial Solutions. I targeted his clients. I didn't steal them, I simply offered them competence. When they realized Mark's company was falling apart without me, they came running. By year 3, I had 10 employees. By year 4, I was featured in Forbes as a top 50 entrepreneur over 50. By year 5, I had bought a penthouse in Manhattan, cash. I was 53 years old, and I looked better than I did at 30. I had tailored suits, a personal trainer, and a confidence that terrified men like Mark. I had legally changed my name back to my maiden name, Victoria Vance. As for Mark, I heard rumors. Jessica had spent his money faster than he could make it. The baby turned out to be twins, expensive twins. His company tanked because he didn't know how to manage the cash flow. He lost his clients to me, though he didn't know it was me. Last I heard, he had filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. I thought I didn't care. I thought he was just a ghost. Until the day I needed a driver. Ms. Vance, my assistant, Clara, buzzed in. The agency sent over the final candidate for the private chauffeur position. He has a clean driving record, though his resume is a bit erratic. Send him in, Clara, I said, not looking up from my laptop. I just need someone who can drive a Maybach without scratching it. I have the gala tonight. The heavy oak doors opened. Good afternoon, a voice said. My fingers stopped typing. I knew that voice. It was raspy, broken, humbled, but it was his. I slowly spun my chair around. There stood Mark. But it wasn't the Mark who had left me in the restaurant. That Mark had been arrogant, tanned, and wearing a $5,000 suit. This Mark was a wreck. He was balding, and what hair he had was grey and unkempt. His suit was cheap polyester and 2 sizes too big, hanging off his gaunt frame. He looked exhausted. He looked defeated. He looked old. He held his cap in his hands, fidgeting nervously. He looked at me, sitting in the backlight of the window, wearing oversized designer glasses and a sharp white blazer, and he didn't blink. He didn't know who I was. Why would he? He remembered a tired, grey accountant. He didn't recognize the vibrant, powerful CEO sitting before him. Plus, he had probably never bothered to learn my maiden name. Mr. I prompted, looking at his resume on my iPad. Miller, he said quickly. Mark Miller. Thank you for seeing me, Ms. Vance. I really need this job. It says here you were a CEO of a consulting firm, I said, keeping my voice cool and professional. Why are you applying to be a driver? He sighed, shifting his weight. Bad luck. The economy turned. And, well, I went through a very messy divorce. Oh. I leaned forward, resting my chin on my hand. Tell me about it. I value transparency in my employees. He looked bitter. My first wife, she was a drain. No ambition. She held me back for 20 years. When I finally tried to upgrade my life, everything fell apart. The second wife, she took everything. The house, the cars, the savings. Left me with 2 kids and a mountain of debt. Now I'm living in a studio apartment in the Bronx. I felt a cold fire in my chest. No ambition? Held him back? Even now, rock bottom, he was blaming me. So, I said, you regret leaving your first wife? He laughed, a dry, humorless sound. No. She was old news. Boring. At least the second one was hot for a few years. It was worth the ride, I guess. I just need a paycheck now. I'm a good driver. I used to own a Mercedes. I see, I said. Well, Mark, the job pays $80,000 a year. Full benefits. It involves driving me to high-end events, opening doors, carrying bags. Are you okay with serving a woman? He hesitated, his jaw tightening. The old misogynist was still in there. I have no choice, Ms. Vance. I will do whatever is required. Good, I stood up. You're hired. We have a gala tonight at the Pierre Hotel. Be downstairs with the car in 1 hour. Don't be late. Thank you, he gasped, looking like he wanted to cry. Thank you, Ms. Vance. You won't regret this. Oh, I knew I wouldn't. The ride. 1 hour later, I walked out of the building. I was wearing a stunning emerald green gown, the color he always said looked trashy on me, but which the fashion magazines now said made my eyes pop. I had removed my glasses. My hair was styled in cascading waves. Mark was standing by the open door of the black Maybach. He was wearing the chauffeur's cap. He kept his head down as I approached. "Good evening, Ms. Vance," he mumbled, staring at his shoes. "Eyes up, Mark," I said sharply. "Look at your employer when she speaks to you." He snapped his head up. He looked at my face. At first, there was just politeness. Then, confusion. He squinted. He tilted his head. He looked at the emerald dress. He looked at my eyes. The color drained from his face. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. He looked like he was seeing a ghost. Victoria, he whispered. It came out as a squeak. "Ms. Vance," I corrected him calmly. Take your pick." He stumbled back against the car. No, it can't be. You look young." I finished for him. "Vital? Exciting? Isn't that what you were looking for, Mark?" "But, how?" he stammered, looking at my jewelry, the building behind me, the car. You were broke. You were." "I was the brain behind your success, Mark." I stepped closer, enjoying the way he shrank away. "When you threw me out like trash, you threw away the only thing that made you money. I didn't just survive. I thrived. I built Phoenix Financial. The company that took all your clients? That was me." His knees actually buckled. He grabbed the car door to stay upright. You destroyed me." "You destroyed yourself," I said coldly. "I just picked up the pieces you left behind." "Victoria," he choked out, tears forming in his eyes. "Victoria, please. I'm living in a rat-infested hole. I have nothing. Jessica left me. I miss you. We had 25 years. Can't we talk?" He reached out a hand to touch my arm. I stepped back, looking at his hand with the same disgust he had shown me in the restaurant 5 years ago. "Don't touch me," I said. "You're the staff, Mark. Remember your place." He froze. Now, I checked my diamond watch. "I'm late for my gala. And frankly, I don't like the smell of your cheap cologne. It gives me a headache." I pulled out my phone and called Clara. "Clara? Cancel the new driver." "Yes, right now. He's not a good fit. He lacks vision. Send security down to the curb, please. I have a loiterer harassing me." "Victoria!" Mark screamed, panic setting in. "You hired me. You can't do this. I need this job. I have child support to pay." "You should have thought about that before you traded a diamond for a rhinestone," I said, turning away. "Please," he begged, falling to his knees on the sidewalk, right in front of the building where I was the boss. "I'm sorry. I was stupid. You look beautiful. You're the love of my life." I stopped. I looked back at him one last time. "No, Mark," I said softly. "I was never the love of your life. I was just your safety net. And now? I'm just the woman who signed your rejection letter." 2 security guards stepped out of the lobby. "Escort Mr. Miller off the property," I ordered. "And if he comes back, call the police." I hailed a yellow taxi that was passing by. The driver, a kind-looking Sikh man, opened the door for me. "Where to?" he asked. "The Pierre Hotel," I smiled, smoothing my emerald dress. "And take the scenic route. It's a beautiful night to be alive." As the taxi pulled away, I watched through the rear window. Mark was being dragged away by security, kicking and screaming, a broken man in an oversized suit. I didn't feel sad. I didn't feel angry. I just felt light. I applied fresh lipstick in the rearview mirror, and for the first time in 30 years, I truly loved the woman smiling back at me.